Hello everyone, I'm Steve Venner, G0TAN.
And I'm Gary, M0TIG.
Yeah, we'd like to give you a visual update of some of the things that we've been playing with here at Martin Lynch & Sons, and just let you know how things are going in generally. First off, you may have heard about Icom's new little IC7300 radio. We actually got some in about a week ago, and just to let you know, they've all gone. They've been so popular. We've had people wanting them for quite some time, putting their deposits and things down. So they've all gone, and I'm smiling, as you can tell, because I've got one. Yes, and I've had it for about a week now, and would you believe I took it out of the box for the first time last night. So I've had about 2 hours to play with the thing, and so far I've been really, really impressed. When I first heard about these radios, when it first came out, I saw the thing about the direct sampling receiver and the real-time spectrum scope, and that's something that really piqued my ears, so to speak. I thought, oh yeah, what's going on? So I got one. Basically, the reason I say that, why I like the direct sampling receiver and the spectrum scope, is that if you come to our store and you see the Flex radios, I really love the demo with the big monitors and the waterfall displays and things like that. But for me personally at home, I do not have that amount of space on my desk. So for this little Icom, the 7300, it's great because it's got the direct sampling receiver, so performance. We do have one here. It's not powered on at the moment, but you can sort of see, if you haven't seen one already, it could be that way, I suppose. That's the size of it. What I'm hoping to do, I get a chance to have a bit more of a play with it this coming weekend, and in the very near future I'll give you more of an in-depth review of it, so you can see how well it performs and things like that. But certainly straight out of the box, the things I love just the touchscreen display is superb. Very similar to the 991, it's a little bit bigger. But say the audio quality really, really good, very crisp and clear. And on the European versions, we also have the 70 meg band. So it's going to be a superb product. So that's about it. So watch out for the new the in-depth video that we'll be doing later on. So that's it for me.
I'll take that way.
Okay, you take that way. So Gary, what have you got to show?
Well, I can probably show you we've got the Tytera, the DMR products. These have been hugely popular. Little budget DMR radios. Again, they're the firmware. I know that people are playing with the firmware and turning them into all sorts of scanners.
So, what about things like code plugs, things like that?
Code plugs and things like that. We're probably forwarding people now off to the user groups, because obviously DMR is so dynamic now, and things are changing so quickly that we just can't keep up with all the code plug production. So there's plenty available out there for free. The software again is all free, downloadable from the sites. They're really good. But yeah, that's DMR.
How does DMR compare with, say, things like the D-Star or the Yaesu System Fusion? Is that an easy question to answer, or
yes and no? I mean, there's obviously quite a personal preference. Some people prefer the DMR over the Fusion, and some people prefer Fusion over the DMR. My personal opinion is that maybe Fusion's a little on the clearer side, certainly richer sort of sound in speech, but nonetheless, they're very similar products.
So they work on the amateur bands, presumably.
Yeah, on the amateur bands. I mean, these are capable of, if you have obviously licensing from other like Ofcom sort of private licensing, you can use them on those as well. They can be.
Yeah, because I don't get involved with those too often, and I hear all this stuff about the DMR and the System Fusion and that. Yeah. And I've played a little bit about with D-Star when it first came out many years ago.
Yeah.
And to me, it's I always thought the DMR stuff was more for the commercial side.
It is, yeah. They are all ETSI compliant, or built under the ETSI sort of ETSI standards, which basically makes them sort of a commercial sort of product.
It looks very well made.
It is, yeah. They're extraordinary. I mean, I think they have to be IP rated and all sorts of things, but they're fantastic for the money. That is an incredible piece of kit. As I say, as for D-Star, how does it compare with D-Star? I personally find D-Star's quite thin compared to the DMR.
You mean the audio quality?
Yeah, it's much thinner and Dalek-y. Yes, it's not that the error correction or something isn't quite the same, but these are very, very good.
What about infrastructure and things like that? We obviously got the System Fusion, the Yaesu, the C4FM type stuff, and we've got the D-Star repeaters. And do these work?
These are there's two major networks at the moment. Obviously, you've got the Phoenix, which is a spring off of the longest standing DMR network, and you now have Brandmeister, and there's a lot of obviously a lot of work going into both those networks, making them sort of something that is quite substantial. And they both work very, very well. I think mainly Phoenix is more prominent down the south than it is up north, and Brandmeister at the moment is a little bit more prominent up.
So Phoenix is actually it's not not Phoenix in the US.
No. It's actually it's essentially it's like a brand of the back end of DMR sort of stuff. As I say, and then there's also the other one which is Brandmeister. Brandmeister is actually growing quite rapidly, which is really, really good sign. I mean, they've got some staggering amount of repeaters now. So it's quite good news. But obviously that's all been boosted, obviously by things like... I was going to say,
I saw a Raspberry Pi or something over there.
Well, we've now got new stock in now, the Pi 3, new cases with the little breather hole.
Power supply.
Nice branded power supply. We've really tried to get the best of everything. We've got a really, really good quality case, which is able to take...
vouch for that.
Yeah, I mean, it's fantastic stuff. It's a Raspberry Pi branded power supply. It's all good stuff. But the Pi 3 now has got built-in Wi-Fi.
Well, see, Raspberry Pi for me is very, very, very close to my own heart. Sort of been involved in software development and computers for many years, from going back to the BBC Micro and things like that. So when the Raspberry Pi first came out, I thought, got to have one. Playing about with Linux, which is I've been involved with for many years as well. And then over the last couple of years, as they brought out the Raspberry Pi 2 and the Raspberry Pi 3, and I thought when we started doing it, I thought, ooh, this sounds just up my street.
Yeah.
So,
well, I mean, I must admit, I did have the Pi 1, which I found rather frustrating. I'll be honest,
slow.
It was very slow. And I'm not a natural Linux user, so I find it quite alien. However, I have been forced to kind of bite the bullet a little bit more lately, and I'm growing to love this little product. It's just fantastic. The Pi 2 was brilliant. The Pi 3, to be honest, I don't notice much difference between the Pi 2.
Really? Oh.
No, but the built-in Wi-Fi is a real hoot. That's really good. I've not had any reason really to use the Bluetooth in it, but what a fantastic little product for the money that is. And as I say, we're doing a combination kit.
Is it worth getting out of the box to show people?
Well, I've actually got one.
You've got one?
Yeah, I've got one. Yeah. Essentially, that's all right. Well, essentially, you've got there's. I mean, that's obviously a DV4. We'll talk about that in a second. But that is, basically what that little package makes up. You've got like a wafer type case, which we did a little video not so long ago, how to assemble the case. And obviously the Pi 3, but you'll notice now there's a little hole in the case to allow for a little bit of cooling. And if you want to, you can actually put a little heat sink on that CPU. I have noticed they do get quite warm when you start using them.
So you got the other connectors on there as well. You've got obviously the I/O.
Yeah, you got the GPIO ports.
Which one's the display? There's a display around.
I've got a funny feeling it is that one.
Okay.
That's the display one. And obviously we do carry the 7-inch displays for them, and they work quite well. I'm quite impressed with those. And obviously you got the standard sort of Ethernet. LAN.
And 4 USB ports.
Yeah, 4 USB ports.
They USB 2, 3, 1?
I think they're USB 2 on those.
Okay.
I did actually learn something which was quite interesting the other day. They're actually between the mini USB and the actual pins. There's actually a fuse on board. And if you power them,
you tested it, did you?
No, not at all. Actually, it was. No, it was just something I saw on some of the YouTube videos. But apparently, if you power them from the GPIO ports, there's no fuse.
Oh,
so that's quite handy to know.
Yeah,
especially if you're experimenting.
Because that's how I've got my Raspberry Pi 2. I haven't set up my 3 yet.
Yeah.
But my Pi 2, I've got as you connected it up with the GPIO pins. But I'll bear that in mind. Yeah,
well, as I say, I'm not sure. That probably is it must be a reasonable size fuse on there. But anyway, hey ho. But yeah, so that's kind of what we're making up, and of course, I mean, everyone is still talking about the DV4. As I say, this is a multi-mode a piece of equipment. I mean, there's lots of things happening in the world of USB dongles at the moment, but this one is just so easy to use.
Okay. So what does that cover? I mean, if you go back to the old FunCube dongles.
Yeah, they're completely different products.
Oh,
yeah,
okay, right.
I'll come on to those in a second. But as I say, these basically are replacing things like the DVAPs and things like that. This enables you to do. You've basically got D-Star, C4FM. You've got what else? P25, DPMR. I mean, and it's just fabulous. I mean, all from a little tiny bit of kit.
Impressive.
And again, I've learned fairly recently that all these modes are actually based on a very similar protocol. And they use, I think it's an MB3000 chip or something like that, which again is the core of it all. But they're fantastic. Although this I don't think has got one in it. It's a really neat bit of kit. Very, very neat indeed. But they're hugely popular. But couple them up with a Pi, and you only need to power this from the power supply. That is all you need. That can be on your Wi-Fi network at home.
And so, what does that give you? That gives you like a little mini repeater, or
like a miniature hotspot.
Oh, I see. Right.
Yeah, so I mean that's quite neat. So you just need to give that power, and that can be hooked up to Wi-Fi anywhere in the house. And
presumably you have to configure the Pi somehow to make it work.
Well, we've done that.
Oh, so that comes as part of the package.
Yeah, it comes part of the package. Yeah, there's a little surprise, and as I say, just in the back there's a little Pi
micro SD card.
Yeah, just a little point to note. In the Pi 2, this was a push and release. In the Pi 3, it's just a pull to release.
Oh, is it? Oh.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Well, I didn't know that because I haven't even got mine up and running yet. So that's this weekend.
I sat there for about half an hour the other day pushing it, thinking I can see a little clip in there and it won't come out. But anyway, all good. But yeah, we program up the cards. We give you basically a starter. I mean, obviously the nature of the beast is we can't give you lots and lots of support for Linux and things. I mean, that's over to you guys. In fact, probably 90% of our customers probably know more than I do about all this sort of stuff. Well, that's not difficult. But anyway, so yeah, it's all good stuff. But we give you a starting starting point
for 10.
Yeah, start for 10. Yeah. So, but that's all up and running. But the other really little good thing is we've actually installed on there some software which enables you to do remote desktop. So you can run that completely headless. So you can run that from your mobile phone. You can log into it.
You told me about this a couple of weeks ago, and when I still had my Pi 2 up and running, I tried it, and it actually worked quite well. It saves me having the big the HDMI connector going into a monitor. I say, I just plug that in with the power supply, just leave it on the desk. With I actually have a wired LAN connection to there. I did the remote desktop from Windows straight into it. It was brilliant. Thank you for that, Gary.
You're welcome. I'm too shy, but yeah, it's a really good way of doing it. And it does actually mean that you can be completely mobile. I mean, I took this up to we went up to a show fairly recently, and I had this in my bag, actually running off of my mobile phone network with a little battery on it, and I was using Brandmeister all the way up.
Blimey.
So it's fantastic.
Yeah.
So that's really good. And you mentioned fun cubes.
I did, yes.
Well, in that same, this one obviously is not a fun cube, but a fun
box,
cube obviously.
as far as I can tell.
Fun cubes are probably our most popular little USB SDR.
Yeah.
And we've now got a new one as well, which is the AirSpy products. Now I've been spending a lot of time playing with these just recently, the little black boxes.
Can you see those?
Yeah, I don't know if you can see those. Yeah,
because it's like a mirrored bag, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, I don't want to open that. But yeah, anyway, they're basically little black boxes, and they don't really look very much. But essentially, that is a really, really good SDR receiver, which is also capable of aircraft radar. So I was having a bit of a play with that yesterday on a Microsoft Surface. And running, I was using the Raspberry Pi as basically a little server. So that was hooked up to the Pi, running out to a little radar antenna, little
aircraft.
1 gig antenna, and I was actually, basically clocking all the aircraft. It's really, really neat.
Is it like the old where was it, the AirNav system that we used to sell?
Very similar, yeah.
So you can see the aircraft, the type and things
and
like that.
It comes up with there's a big database. You've got like all the pictures and bits and pieces.
Oh right, okay. So you said it was a receiver. What does it cover compared with like the FunCube dongle?
Well, I think if I remember rightly, this goes down to 25 megs, and it goes up to I think about two gigs, I believe, off the top of my head. It's quite a range. Yeah. Whereas the FunCube actually goes from it goes a lot lower. Yeah, a lot lower, right the way up.
But I think there is a gap in the FunCube. It's about 50 megs, somewhere around there. It doesn't do 6 meters.
Right, okay.
Yeah. I think if I remember rightly.
Yeah, well, as I say, they've actually got an answer for that. They've actually produced this little thing, which is a Spyverter. And essentially what this is a little down converter.
Oh, right.
And you line up basically the USB end, and that connects to that with a little tiny...
So they thought. They're pretty neat, isn't it?
It is, yeah. I think it would be really nice if they put like a nice little SMA antenna switch, because you can't leave that in line all the time. So, but that's quite cool. I quite like that. But anyway, that allows you then to go right the way down into HF or modes, bits and pieces. So it's really fantastic.
What about software and things like that?
It uses SDR Sharp, the same as the FunCube. Yeah. However, the SDR Sharp has a really strong relationship with AirSpy, and I think Youssef, he does all of the some of the algorithms for the noise reduction. And as I say again, I've been working quite closely with Youssef, and he's been a very patient man and spent a lot of time with me dealing with that sort of stuff on Skype, which is really, really neat. But yeah, that's pretty much it. What's the other things that come out?
I think with me with the 7300 and you with this lot, I'm actually quite excited to see some of these products.
I think it's exciting times. There's a lot happening. And I also learned that that's actually the front end apparently of a K3. Which is again.
Does aircraft know?
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it's the same design. I don't know how they work it. But yeah, it's all good. Good. So that's pretty much all I've got in my goodie bag.
Okay, well that'll do for this time. Don't waste it all.
Well, things are coming out so quickly now. It's a job to keep up with them.
And the other bit of good news then, based on that, is things are coming out quickly, and it's creating quite an interest in these products. Is that we've got a lot of new amateur radio operators coming on board, a lot of younger people, which has been lacking in the hobby for quite some time, and especially with the event of the Raspberry Pi, they're getting used to. They're probably more used to using, as Gary said, using this sort of thing than we are. And that will lead me on to my next topic, which we can talk about a little bit at some other point in time, and that's our training school here. I'd like to give you an update of how that's going. Okay, so that's all we have for today. I'd just like to say thank you to Gary for showing us all these bits, and look forward to talking to you again next time. Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks.